Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back. The last couple weeks, we've been studying Joash and the good influence. How are you this week? Did you influence people to do what was right? Did you surround yourself with friends who encourage? Thanks, Peter. Glad I'm a good friend. Did you surround yourself with friends who encouraged you to do what was right? Well, we left off last week with Jehoiada passing away after 130 years of life and serving God. That's right. It was sad, Peter. And he got buried where the kings were. He was honored because of the good life that he lived. So picking up in verse 17 of 2 Chronicles 24, now after the death of Jehoiada came the princes of Judah and made obeisance to the king. Then the king hearkened unto them. So some princes come in and they're like, hey, listen to us. You want to take our advice? And they worm their way in to get his ear. And they do. Not his physical ear, but to listen to him. They want the king to listen to him and their advice. Well, he does start to listen to their advice, boys and girls. And we're going to find he stops worshiping God. Like, not even bad advice about handling his money or something like that, but to the extreme of he rejects God. The one that he had cleared a temple for, cleared the house of the Lord for, the one who had protected him, he's now going to reject. Verse 18, and they left the house of the Lord God of their fathers and served groves and idols, and wrath came upon Judah and Jerusalem for this their trespass. So he leads them to worship groves and images, and the wrath of God is coming upon them, coming upon Judah and Jerusalem because they've left God. But God gives them warning. He sends prophets. He sends people to tell them, turn around, don't do this. Verse 19, yet he sent prophets to them to bring them again unto the Lord, and they testified against them. But they would not give ear. They wouldn't listen. They're getting warnings and they're not listening. Verse 20, and the Spirit of God came upon Zechariah, the son of Jehoiada, the priest, which stood above the people and said unto them, thus saith God, why transgress ye the commandments of the Lord, that ye cannot prosper? Because ye have forsaken the Lord. He hath also forsaken you. So Zechariah, the son of Jehoiada, the man who had taken care of Joash, stands up and says, you're doing wrong. You need to turn back toward God. Boys and girls, what do you think Joash is going to do about that? The son of the man who had taken care of him, is he going to listen? What's he going to do? Well, let's keep reading, boys and girls. Verse 21, and they conspired against him and stoned him with stones at the commandment of the king in the court of the house of the Lord. Thus Joash the king remembered not the kindness which Jehoiada his father had done to him, but slew his son, and when he died, he said, the Lord look upon it and require it. So the people stone him, and Joash tells the people to kill Zechariah for what Zechariah is saying. And the verse pointed out that when Zechariah spoke, that Joash didn't listen. He didn't hear what was being told to him. It said that he remembered not the kindness which Jehoiada his father had done to him. He didn't remember that somebody had been nice to him. And now he kills Zechariah the son. The end of the verse tells us that Zechariah, when he was dying, basically said, this is going to be required of you. If you think back to Athaliah, she killed people, and what happened to her? She was killed. Now Joash has had Zechariah killed, and you better wait. Better not rush ahead again. But how quickly do we forget people who treat us right? How quickly do we take for granted and turn against them? Boys and girls, we've all watched some of we'll say the younger kids before they've matured and developed, where they have one best friend one day because they have the shiny new toy, and then the next day they have a different best friend because they have a different shiny new toy, or they got candy cart money, so now they're my friend. How often do we, that's right, Peter, candy cart's a big deal. How often do we switch from one friend to another without really thinking about, boys and girls, the effects of that? We're almost done here. Just a couple more verses we're going to look at. Verse 23, and it came to pass at the end of the year that the host of Syria came up against him. And they came to Judah and Jerusalem and destroyed all the princes of the people from among the people, and sent all the spoil of them unto the king of Damascus. Verse 24, for the army of the Syrians came with a small company of men, and the Lord delivered a very great host into their hand. So a small army defeats a great army. Why? It says because they had forsaken the Lord God of their fathers. So they executed judgment against Joash. Because of what Joash did, it affected the whole nation. The Syrians come in with a small amount of people, and they overtake Judah and Jerusalem because of what Joash had done. Verse 25, and when they were departed from him, for they left him in great distress, his own servants conspired against him for the blood of the sons of Jehoiada the priest, and slew him on his bed, and he died. And they buried him in the city of David, but they buried him not in the sepulchres of the kings. Boys and girls, he surrounded himself with bad influences. He killed someone. He reaped the punishment. He was killed. He was killed by his own servants in his bed. How devastating or how sad it is that somebody who had done right for so long with a good influence turned and changed, and then the end of their life ends like that. Those who are around us, boys and girls, influence us. So how are you influencing the people around you? Are you influencing them for good or for bad? And then what kind of an influence are you? And then what kind of an influence are you surrounding yourself with? Are you surrounding yourself with good influences or bad? Joash paid in a great way for following bad influences and going against God. Sin does get judged, boys and girls. We don't always get our punishment right away, so sometimes we think we got away with it, but God does judge sin. Well, as you think about Joash this week, let's focus on the good part. Let's focus on being a good